Hey guys, this is Mel, and I am back to talk about Legacies, episode 110, titled There's a World Where Your Dreams Come True, which premiered Thursday, February 7th, 2019 on the CW. I'm recording 22 minutes after the episode is aired, so huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on screen. Take a moment to remind yourselves of those. This time I'm going to do it in 30 minutes, hopefully. There's a lot to cover. We definitely got to see a whole bunch of different possibilities, so I want to talk about it. So let's start the clock. Let's begin with what happened in this episode. So the first off, episode quote, "There is a world where your dreams come true," was said by Lizzie to Alaric in her third wish world. And I'll get into that in a moment, though. So there's that. Timeline-wise, I think it's either the day after the events of 109 or maybe 2 days after the events of 109. Just because the Hope and Alaric are still dealing with, the urn and trying to figure out, how to stop creatures from appearing. It looks like they hadn't had another one since, so I'm assuming it hasn't been so long since they dealt with the nightmare thing last week. So there's that. So reminder, though, I'm going to say Lizzie's wishes, or you can do alternate worlds, whichever one best fits it, but there's that. Featured creature, though, for the episode is Ginny, the genie. We found out that she's been granting wishes, or she's supposed to be granting wishes for 500 years of servitude, and she always goes to the self-centered humans to do that. We find out in her year 499 of the 500, she was confronted by a monster that had sent her to Malivore. I don't know if this is an actual literal monster or if it's figuratively a monster. So it could have been a human that did worse things, and it sent her to Malivore, interrupting her years of her servitude sentencing. We also find out that the genie can only do what is wished of her to do. She can't do things for herself, like take the urn for herself. She can only get the urn if someone wishes it to her. And she was saying how she can only grant other people's wishes. Therefore, because of her curse, she can't seek out her own wishes. She can't seek out her own happy ending unless someone gives it to her through a wish. So that's the motivation behind that creature there. In a sense, this creature kind of reminds me of the dryad, the tree creature thing that Alaric and Dorian talked to in the 5th episode, I believe. We got a lot more of a backstory into what the creature is and stuff. Got a little more insight too. So there's that. I do appreciate that their version of the genie still kind of goes with every genie possibility. It's definitely different from the Jinn on Supernatural, who are genies technically as well. But they do have the reality altering type of a MO. So there's that. Okay, episode breakdowns. This is what I really want to get to talk to you about. Now, there's going to be 4, just because 3 of them are dealing specifically with her 3 wishes, and the 4th one dealing with how she kind of gets out of all of it. So we got alternate realities 1, 2, and 3, and then the ultimatum being the showdown, I guess you could say, with the genie. So the first altered reality is wish number 1 being that Hope never attended the Salvatore boarding school. Specifically, Lizzie doesn't wish it specifically, but we know she meant originally Hope came to the school when she was 7. So if she never came when she was 7, then what would the world be like? So it turns out that we do get name drop of Damon Salvatore. He has been the sole benefactor of the school, because without Hope being there, Klaus never made the massive donation check to Caroline to help fund the school. So with just Damon's money alone, it's been a little lacking. I mean, come on, 1,000 years worth of saving money versus only the 200. That's going to make a difference, right? So we also get a little bit of knowledge of the fact that Damon and Elena have kids of their own, which is why Damon can't give all his money away, because he has his own family to think about. So there's that. We find out that the school finds recruits through newspaper clippings, so pretty much old school type of tracking, kind of reminder of Hunters for Supernatural. But anyways, we also find out that we meet Hope in this different reality where she hadn't been at the boarding school for 10 years already. Instead, we get a Hope that's more like her father in New Orleans, and that is she's more intimidating. I mean, she's already intimidating, but she's like very like deathly intimidating in the fact that like she feeds like a vampire. She looks so like she actually takes on the creature traits of her father, and such. And before that, we didn't know. In the original reality, we don't know if Hope takes after the whole blood drinking thing, but in this one, she drinks blood. She kills her victims. She compels them to their death. She looks like a ripper for some of her victims too. So that's intense. But after meeting her, she gets recruited to the school, and that's kind of what sets Lizzie to make another wish. But anyways, we do find in this altered reality, the Alark looks a lot more like his age. He's supposed to be in his 50s, I think. And we see that once he meets Hope and realizes who she is, he really wants to connect with her and help her out of the darkness that is her tribute status. We also meet werewolf Luis, the only werewolf at the school. He was introduced because Jed, Alpha Jed, or former Alpha Jed, was a potential recruit in this altered world, and he was not impressed from the looks of the state of the school. So anyways, second alternate reality is when Lizzie wishes the existence of the Salvatore school to be gone. She doesn't want the school to begin with. That leads them to attending the local high school, Mystic Falls High or Mystic High, I forget which way they call it. But with this one, we do get a name drop of Stephanie Salvatore, so Damon and Elena's daughter, and we find out through her that Damon had given Alark a watch that has magical properties inside of it, and that's one reason why the twins wanted it, because they can use it to siphon magic from it. So there's that. We find out that Josie is the head cheerleader, and she's dating Connor. We also see Dana back. Both of them were killed in episode 3 or 4, I think, with the arachnid. So that was a surprise there. We also find out that Lizzie is dateless for homecoming, but she's more like on the unpopular side of things. We also find out that Alark is the history teacher at the school, and he hates his job there. He drinks during the day, and he's not covering it up when in front of his students. We find out that Caroline stays away to avoid seeing Alark be this miserable. So there's that. We also see in this world Josie refusing to let Lizzie control her happiness, how she doesn't want her life to be ruled by Lizzie's mental state, since they're kind of going by her ups and downs, and kind of like to the point that like Josie's just fed up, and she's not going to take what Lizzie says seriously anymore in case it is one of the breaks and she's just messing with them. So there's kind of that. And in this reality, we have the Michelson boarding school, and this is where we see a badass tricked out Hope, Caleb, Jed, and little Pedro arriving in style to do damage control when Lizzie accidentally exposes magic to the students of the school during one of her breakdowns. And they are also there to recruit Alark as the new headmaster. In this reality, though, Klaus is still alive, and he is doing further recruitment in Europe, according to Hope. And in his absence, he wanted Alark to take the place as headmaster. So there's that. And Josie is very, very interested in the offer and Hope from the looks of it. So there's that. And the third alternate reality, this is where Lizzie wishes for Hope to never have been born. Now, this is the most dire of the realities, because in this one, it's pretty much hell on earth, almost. Because in this reality, in order for the world to have gone to shit, Klaus Michelson had lost everything 2 years ago, which resulted in him turning off his humanity and declaring war against the humans, therefore exposing the world to the supernatural. Vampires were outed, werewolves were outed, witches were outed, to the point that now the Triad Industries hunts down supernaturals and kills them on sight. And we have Alark, who's trying to smuggle these supernaturals out of the country for their safety, and he's using the boarding house as like a safe house or a way station. And we also see Penelope being a part of this resistance. We also find out in this reality, Lizzie had ran away when she found out about the Gemini merge. When that news kind of had her breakdowns leading down to being paranoid, trying to be the best, trying to be the winner of the merge. it caused Josie's death. And that caused another break, as they call it, because this is when Lizzie jumps into this reality, and she doesn't remember what previously happened, so she finds out that she's the cause of her own sister's death, and it's just very powerful stuff there. We also find out, or Lizzie finds out, that that's the reason why Caroline's been away so much. It's because she's been trying to find a way to prevent the merge from happening when they're 22. So there's that. Now with the 4 storyline, I'm calling it the ultimatum. Not really a storyline because all of them are still connected with each other. But in this ultimatum, Lizzie gets the option of either resetting her wishes. So this would be her 4th wish. There is no 3 limit. Let's go there. So she either resets the wishes in exchange for getting the urn to the genie. So instead, Lizzie wishes for the genie to have never encountered the monster that sent her to Malivore. If the genie never went to Malivore, then she would have no need to go after the urn. But if she never went to Malivore, that means she never needs to get the urn, which means she never would have showed him at the school, which means she never would have targeted Lizzie. So to extinguish Genie's desire for the urn, we have Lizzie resetting her own wishes by nullifying their effect. But because of this, Lizzie does not remember her experiences during these 3 wishes. And Genie explains that a lot of people have that because usually the last wish is to reset all their wishes. So they kind of get remnants of it in their mind to the point that eventually it will cause them to go insane because they're left wondering, did this happen? Did that happen? And if you don't know about the supernatural, then it's like, well, why am I thinking of these things type of thing, right? So there is that. The last scene of the episode shows Lizzie trying to understand her sudden feelings of self-awareness. She seems to show signs of memory gaps or doing something and then forgetting what she was just doing or why she was doing something, like, very quickly. We see that when she was talking to Pedro and he mentioned something and she doesn't recall asking him to do that. So there's that. Moving on to characters, though, it's very quickly, though, but Dorian, Landon, Raphael, and MG were all absent in this episode. And with Hope, though, outside of the alternate realities, with Hope, we see her planning to put a barrier around the urn to trap the next creature that comes for it, which is smart. So there's that. She does offer Lizzie the chance to help her do it, but Lizzie just turns her down and kind of sticks her nose in the air and walks off type of thing, stuck in her own head about what's going on and stuff. So there's that. Tidbits, there's not really much tidbits. I pretty much covered most of them during the very detailed episode breakdown. So there's that. But moving on to the most shocking moment of the episode, I think it has to be the fact that Lizzie doesn't remember any details from her 3-wish trip journey. I was kind of hoping that she would, but I will get into that a little further, and I'm pretty sure you know which section that's going to come up in. So there's that. But let's move on to top 3 favorite moments. Once again, Hope and Alaric are always going to be one of my favorites. I like the fact that in no matter which world, or I can't say whichever world because Hope doesn't exist in the 3rd world, but in the first 2 worlds that Lizzie did her wishes, I love the fact that no matter which one they were in, no matter which scenario it is, Hope and Alaric always managed to find themselves in a mentorship type of situation, where he's taking her in, guiding her, wants to help her. I really appreciate the fact that no matter whether he met her when she was 7, met her at 17, with all this darkness that surrounds her, I really love the fact that he still wanted to help her. He wanted to show her that she's not broken, that she could get out of the darkness that is seeping inside of her. And even the hug that he gave her in that first alternate world was just amazing. It was just chock full of emotion there. He really wanted to help her, and you could feel it. He wanted to be there for her when she had no one else. So I appreciated that. When she was recruiting him in the 2nd world, and he was just amazed that he recognized the name. He was amazed at this opportunity that she was giving him, and then her just telling him was like, yeah, my father really wants you to lead while he's overseas type of thing. And she personally went to go grab him and include him, and like they had their eyes set on him. It also speaks volume too for that one, for Alark to be recruited because Klaus wanted him to be in the position he was offered as headmaster. So I definitely love that dynamic. Also, in the original timeline, when they were trying to figure out what to do with Ern at the very beginning of the episode, it was very cool for them to be doing it together, how he's including her and not kind of keeping her at bay. So I do appreciate that team up there. I'm always going to appreciate the dynamic that's growing between them, because once again, I still think of her as his unofficial daughter. So there's that. Another favorite that I liked about the episode was the fact that in the world where we get cheerleader Josie, I love the fact that she told Lizzie off for her self-centered ways. I love that she didn't hold back when she was telling Josie how she didn't want to stay in the shadows, how she didn't want her happiness to be determined by Lizzie's state of mind. She didn't want to always be second against Lizzie, how she needed to take care of herself. And then like, yeah, it was a little harsh to kind of put a lot of blame on Lizzie, and how stating how like Alark's only taking the job that he hates so he can keep an eye on Lizzie, and how all this stuff, and just really putting a lot of the weight on Lizzie's shoulders. I get that it's mean for Lizzie to hear, but for someone who's so lost in her own world, I feel like Lizzie needed to hear this. And I really love that Josie, even though it was a different version of her, I really love that she got to say what she needed to say, because I don't think we'll ever get her saying it in the original reality. But it was just great to see her standing up for herself, wanting to take control of her own life, not wanting to be in the shadows of her own twin. And I do wish that Lizzie would remember this fight so that she could take it back in the originality and maybe do things a little differently with Josie. Maybe be a little more considerate for her own twin and what she's feeling, and not have it be like an afterthought to her own problems type of thing. But I do appreciate Josie stepping up. I do like that. Also, side part to cheerleader Josie, if you can see in the background when Lizzie was talking to Ginny, or the genie in that scene, you could see Josie flirting with Hope on the couch. I mean, they were getting really close with each other. And also when Hope arrived, you just saw this glint of interest in Josie's eyes. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, I'm all for the friendship. I'm definitely all for to see if like there's a relationship going in there. But I could settle for just a friendship. But if anything more happens, even if in an alternate world, it would be great to see that explored in many ways. So that was pretty cool to see. Another favorite I did have for the episode was all the familiar name drops we were getting. We got Damon and Elena specifically mentioned in this episode, in the first and the second alternate realities. So that was pretty cool. We got different tidbits each. We also get Klaus Michelson being mentioned in all three different realities. So that was very cool there. It was very interesting to know that in the second and the third one, in where the school was never existed and when Hope was never born, Klaus was still alive to this day. It's only in when the first one, Hope had never gone to the school at 7, he is when he was still dead. So it's very interesting there too. And also, it wasn't a vocal name drop, but the fact that in one of the books written about the Gemini Coven, we do see a name drop of Kai Parker as a written note on the side in red pen, as well as highlights about the merge, as well as the photo and the word The Ascendant that was used in season 6 of the Vampire Diaries, which leads to the prison world where Kai is currently trapped. So I really hope they don't bring it back, otherwise the twins are really going to be in trouble. But it's very cool to get that burst of nostalgia from it. So there's that. And then also, I will have to say, for a favorite, and I guess it's kind of a shocking moment too, though, because I didn't expect this to be my favorite, but it has to be the moment where Lizzie stands up to the genie at the very end before she declares her final wish, how she's saying that I will never wish you the urn, that would be the biggest mistake. Like that whole speech that she had, I really appreciate Lizzie standing up and being firm in that decision, the self-awareness that she had in that speech, and how she was kind of like, she knows that she's selfish, she knows that she's done things, and like just tried to, in that moment, it really looked to me like she was learning something from this travel experience, this wish experience, I should say. So I do appreciate that. It definitely shows character development greatly in this episode for Lizzie, to have experienced these different wish alternatives, to see what one instance could change so much in her life, type of thing. And in that speech, again, it really showed that she was learning it. But again, it goes to my peeve, and that is the fact that she doesn't remember any of it now, which pisses me off. Because like I said, it was a huge moment of character development for her. And it would have had me tolerate her character a little bit more if she remembered the journey, if she remembered what she learned in a world where Hope never went to the school. It would, or if the school never existed, like with Josie's standing up for herself in that one. Like, it would have been something that she would have taken away from that. Or how about in the final one where she found out about the Gemini merge, and then what her having her episodes could mean if she doesn't take control over them. It could mean killing her own sister. So it's like, I really wish that all that stuff Lizzie would be able, I really wish that she was able to remember all the stuff that she learned. So it really pisses me off that she doesn't. Now it's just going to be remnants of moments in her head, to the point that she might think she's going insane and not know what it all means. And I get it, because that just sets up her own personal storyline. It also sets up the fact that she could go down the path where she is the one that kills her own sister. But I would have preferred that she remembered these alternate realities. It definitely might help her to change and be a little more aware of her own attitudes and selfishness. But I don't know if all these little phantom gut feelings she's getting at the end of the episode, if that's going to stick, and she's like going to be like, I feel like something's different, or I feel like this should be happening, type of thing. I don't know how long that's going to stay and not bug me. So there's that. But what moment will I remember most when I look back on this episode? All the different alternate worlds or alternate realities we got in this episode. So there is that. But random questions though. First one, is any part of the altered realities still true in the original one? Like, for example, in the third reality, we do find out that the Gemini merge was still a thing, and it was mentioned as being a problem still. So I'm just wondering if all the little tidbits we found out about the Salvatore family, with Damon and Elena having kids, one of them being named Stephanie after Stefan, I'm assuming. I'm wondering if that's still true and in the original reality. Because they've skewed, yeah, you get my point, but that's mainly the reason why I asked that question. Do Damon and Elena have kids, and if so, is one of them named Stephanie? And she would be a little younger than the twins, I think, so there's that. Another question. Have they specifically mentioned on the show what Lizzie is diagnosed with? I mean, many occasions they have mentioned her having prescriptions and dosage changes, a lot in this episode, in fact. But have they stated what exactly she is diagnosed with in order to meet those prescriptions? I mean, I want to say, I don't know why, but I want to say that she's bipolar. But I don't know if, first off, if that's true. And if so, I don't know if it's because it was stated in the show already, or if it's because it's a fan theory that I read, because I like reading fan fiction, and it came from there. Or if it's from one of the wiki character pages out there that details from the show. So I don't know which version of that tidbit of being bipolar comes from, or if that's even true. So can anyone clarify that for me? And if so, can you tell me which episode they say it from? So there's that. Another question. In the third reality, what happened 2 years ago that resulted in Klaus Michelson to switch off his humanity and start a war that exposed the supernatural world? Because if it was just, I can understand if it was said that it was 17 years ago, that's the moment where Klaus switched off his humanity, because then that would mean Hope was killed as a baby. and because like Hope was never born, then she would have been the pregnancy would have been terminated before she was given birth, which would have been 17 years ago, right? So I can understand that being the date of his humanity switching off. But what would have happened 2 years ago when she's 15 for everything to happen? Did the rest of his family die or something, or did like what happened there? So I probably know we're probably never gonna know, but I'm just wondering what was that tipping point for him. So there's that. Moving on to predictions, though, very quickly, based off the promo for 111, episode comes back February 21st, so we do get a week hiatus. But it looks like we're going to get a unicorn coming to the school, and it brings a mind-controlling parasite with it. Like an actual, like, parasite that comes out of them. Definitely reminds me of the conworm in season 6 of Supernatural, and we definitely have had unicorns on Supernatural, as well as on Legends of Tomorrow. They had one in the season 4 premiere. So I'm wondering how this version of the unicorn is going to be interpreted. But based off the synopsis for the episode, it reads that when Alark decides to postpone the school's annual talent show, Lizzie and Josie are determined to make sure the show goes on. Meanwhile, tensions arise when the students face a creature that lowers their inhibitions. Lastly, Alark decides to play hooky with Emma. Ooh, so lowering their inhibitions might be the mind control parasite. Ooh, Alark playing hooky with Emma. Is that a romantic thing that's going to be growing, or what? Or is it just like a guidance thing, since she is the guidance counselor too? So that's something there. That'll be interesting. Ooh, talent show. I wonder if we're going to get to see some talents, like true talents coming from the students. Maybe from, Hope's talent is her artistic ability. But like, if anyone can sing, if anyone can dance. I mean, we saw MG dancing at the Sweet 16 party. We saw Caleb rapping last episode. So there is that. But otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. I don't have any other last minute thoughts or anything like that though. But yeah, what did you guys think of the episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts, theories, and opinions about all that good stuff. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. So go check that out. Also, WordPress account, link for that is down below. Everything I post online is connected to my WordPress. More organized, more detailed, but still a work in progress as well. So keep that in mind as well. But otherwise, guys, I think that's it. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back in 2 weeks to see what to say about the next episode. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wishing you all a great day, great week wherever you are, and I beat the clock. Bye, guys.